Thanks everyone for joining us today. Today's webinar is entitled Optimizing Scanned Documents with More Accurate OCR, File Compression, Web Optimization, and PDFA for Archiving. My name is Chris Koulouris. I'm the Marketing Director here at CVision Technologies. If you have any questions or are there any issues with sound in the course of the webinar, you can always ask a question through the QA component of GoToWebinar. I'm joined today by Ray Hassan. Hi everybody. He's a National Account Executive here at CVision. He'll bring some interesting perspective. He often works with clients on a one-on-one basis, so he'll bring more of a client-focused perspective to today's presentation. As promised, we said we would keep today's webinar within 30 minutes, so I'm going to do my best to do so. I don't anticipate there being any problems. We have a few slides to present, and then Ray's going to give a demo, and then we'll have questions at the end. I'm going to move through the slides at a pretty moderate to fast pace, just to make sure that we get through everything in 30 minutes. If any questions arise, certainly ask them as they come up. I think we're about ready to begin the presentation. So here's today's agenda. First, we'll talk about steps towards the paperless office. We'll really ask the question, is the paperless office realistic, or is the best thing to do to take steps in the direction of the paperless office? We'll talk about migrating paper format into digital format. We'll talk about the obstacles people encounter when scanning documents, because raw scans aren't necessarily optimal to work with. We'll, as I mentioned, conduct a live demonstration, which will be conducted by Ray Hassan. We'll talk very briefly about what is PDF Compressor. PDF Compressor is our product. Essentially, it's a PDF optimizing solution highlighted by compression. And then we will take questions at the very end. So everyone has paper in their office, paper at their desk. So the first step is scanning paper. So for many people, this visual probably reminds them of their desk or their office. So step one is scanning paper, right? And as we scan paper, we uncover other obstacles. We uncover unloaded file sizes. Raw scans are very, very large. We realize that they're unsearchable images. We can't find text. Imagine having a 100-page document and needing to identify a specific word. There are different file types. Sometimes people scan to TIFF, sometimes people scan to JPEG, sometimes people scan to PDF. This is often difficult to manage as well. And just in general, they're inefficient, right? So we've taken steps towards the paperless office, but really haven't overcome all the obstacles associated with document capture. Right? So additional issues could be long time to access, right? It's difficult to send those files, difficult to locate text, increased file storage, especially if you're doing color scanning, relies on manual processes. So you do all the scanning, but then maybe you have a lot of data entry personnel keying in information. Difficult to email. A lot of corporate email servers only allow 5 meg, sometimes 10 meg. So sometimes you might not be able to email, transmit, or access this information. So now we can discuss some of the technologies available to overcome the obstacles associated with captured documents, right? So the first step is scanning. Now we all have all these scanned documents. Now what do we do with them? All right, so the first thing we recommend would be converting to PDF. PDF has a lot of advantages and attributes that lend themselves nicely to the corporate environment. With PDFs, you can insert OCR, or optical character recognition, which makes PDF documents fully text searchable. You can also compress PDF documents with color scans. We can get them down 50 to 100 times smaller. With black and white scans, there's technology available to get them 5 to 10 times smaller. So a lot easier to access, open, store. As we all know, PDF has a free reader from Adobe. They always display the same. So whether you're viewing it at home or your office or your computers or your colleague's desk, PDFs always display and print the same. There's a security available with PDFs. You can insert metadata. This way you can know everything, all the details pertaining to that PDF. It's an industry standard format. And it's also, you can also preserve the documents if you convert to PDFA. Right? So PDF lends itself to a lot of nice attributes, possess a lot of nice attributes that lend themselves to the corporate environment, specifically when you compare PDFs with TIFFs and JPEGs. Another benefit, I'll drill a little bit deeper into compression, would be compression technology. A lot of advancement has taken place in compression technology over the last, say, 5 to 10 years. In many instances, scan files can be as compressed as small as the original. We'll get into that example in a moment. And quite simply, they're a lot easier to store, access, transmit. So here's an example we came up with just for the purpose of displaying our compression technology. We started with a Word document. The Word document was 921 kbytes. We printed it out. We scanned it to TIFF. It ballooned into a 13 meg TIFF file. 13 meg TIFF file, of course, is unsearchable as well. So it's difficult to access the email. You probably wouldn't be able to get that across the corporate email server. We took that scanned TIFF, we converted it to PDF. Still, we're hovering around 13 megs, still very, very difficult to manage. Then what we did is we ran that scanned PDF, standard PDF, through our software and turned it into a standard compressed PDF document. In this instance, we didn't run it through OCR, but certainly we can run it through OCR, and it would just add a very small text layer. So at the end of the day, we have an 870 kbyte compressed file, which is smaller than the original native Word document that we started this experiment with. So certainly very compelling results for business documents and storing documents and transmitting documents. Recognition technology, the most commonly used recognition technology is OCR technology, optical character recognition technology. That often or always refers to machine print recognition. Often is the case where companies have contracts and will do full text searches, or they'll require full text searches on these documents. So that would be OCR on machine printed text. There could also be handwritten text or ICR recognition. ICR, intelligent character recognition, is very difficult to necessarily recognize text, but there are solutions available, and I've seen firsthand some projects that have had positive outcomes with ICR. Of course, there's other recognition technologies available, barcode, and it's important to keep in mind that accuracy varies considerably, right? So machine printed text is a lot easier to recognize than handwritten text. Barcode, for the most part, is a solved problem. But there's also a large variance in accuracy with respect to whether or not you're scanning to color, grayscale, or bitonal. So with color scanning, it's a lot easier to get higher accuracy recognition rates rather than bitonal. And simply, by color scanning, you're capturing exactly what the image is supposed to look like, and you're able to separate the background from the foreground and achieve higher recognition rates. It's also important to keep in mind image enhancements or image smoothing or image, rather, cleaning techniques that are used. Commonly despeckle, deskew, line removal, enhancement components, image enhancement components. So it's important to keep in mind that image enhancement and image processing techniques go hand in hand with accuracy rates. The more you're able to clean up the image, the better accuracy you're able to achieve when recognizing hand-printed text or, more commonly, machine-printed text. And if you extrapolate that a bit further, the more you're able to recognize off of a document, the more automation you'll be able to receive, right? So in many cases, you have a full-page document you want to conduct OCR on. But in some cases, you want to recognize field data, invoice data, right? So the more you're able to recognize, the more recognition and accuracy you'll be able to achieve on forms or invoices or any kind of structured document. So we'll go through a few instances here where other OCR engines might fail. And this is where the superior OCR engines distinguish themselves from all the others. So here's an instance where the 0 passes on top of the boundary line. So lines through text can create issues. So it might be difficult for that 0 to be recognized. It might be recognized as an 8, for instance. Here's another instance where the 1 is outside of the field. So one of two things could potentially happen here. A line can be recognized as a 1, or potentially if you're trying to recognize that field data, it might not even recognize that 1 if you're really focusing in on that zone. And here's a dot matrix scan. So in general, it's more difficult to recognize poor quality scans. So generally speaking, these are instances where it's difficult for some engines to pick up the characters. So we'll talk very briefly about automation. So the first step is optimizing your scan documents, right? Using very high quality OCR, compressing those documents, converting them to PDF, cleaning up those documents with image processing techniques. The next step, where applicable, would be automating the processes associated with those scan documents. If they're invoices, the forms, if there's any kind of structured documents, and data entry is taking place, it's very easy to find a place or to examine whether or not it's possible to start extracting that data automatically. So to kind of piggyback on the last slide, the higher accuracy OCR can produce more automation. So users are able to automate and extract what they're able to correctly OCR. Automated extractions produce measurable ROI. So in many instances, if you're able to reduce data entry costs, that cost might surpass the cost of the software, right? So you have to really examine this closely. Optimized scans can produce higher automation rates. So again, better OCR, more compression can produce better automation rates. And generally speaking, as I've been mentioning, it can reduce data entry costs and data entry personnel. So we spoke a bit about the obstacles of dealing with scan documents and image documents. So what we like to do is we like to use our software to create more intelligent images. All right, so we have technology available for PDF control. With our software, you can use date stamping, date numbering, date stamping. Ray, what else? Annotations, conversion to PDF, which we spoke upon, automation. If there's structured documents, there's certainly opportunity for automation. You have instant access to image documents with file compression. Recognition, of course, that could be OCR, it could be ICR, it could be barcode, it could be OMR. OMR is optical mark recognition, which is the same thing as checkboxes. Security, there's opportunity to secure your PDF. You don't really have that same kind of robust functionality in some image formats. Image cleanup, of course, that goes hand in hand with recognition. And archival, you're able to archive PDF documents into PDFA format. So I believe this is our last slide before the demo. So kind of taking a high-level look, taking a step back and trying to understand how smarter image documents can help your organization. So really the benefit is not only to the user, but the benefits to the user, the IT department, and to management, right? The benefits to user dealing with a smarter image document would be easier to transmit and access, right? They can email it, they can open it, they can access it very, very quickly, instantly. They don't have to wait around for the images to appear. Much easier to locate text with superior OCR technology. You need to do a full text search over a 1,000-page document, you can find text like that. First page can appear instantly with web optimization or PDF streaming technology. You don't need to wait for the rest of the document to load. The first page can open instantly. And just in general, it's the optimal user experience. From the IT perspective, they only have to manage one file format. We're recommending PDF. They've reduced storage and bandwidth costs. It's transparent to the user, right? So we're providing the user with the optimal user experience, but it doesn't necessarily affect their life in any kind of negative manner. What I mean by that is it doesn't require a special viewer. All they realize is that things are moving faster. So you might not get the pat on the back because it's transparent to user, but in the end, they'll be more efficient. Documents can be preserved with PDFA, and so there's software available that's built for high volume processing. It could act as a standalone product, or it could tie into the bigger document capture, document management platforms. And for management, we touched upon automation. With automation and with extraction from structured documents, it's very easy to demonstrate an ROI. It's also, what's not listed here, is that many automation products we're able to provide metrics. Metrics related to before and after, metrics related to, especially in classification applications, how long it takes for someone to process a specific document. So that's essentially how we're able to benefit and touch all levels of an organization with smarter image documents. And I think that's all I have for the slides for now. Ray's going to jump into the demo portion, and at the end we'll take any of the questions you might have. All yours, Ray.
Thanks, Chris.